you are, where are you logging in from, what do you do. Okay. I'm also going to start a poll for all of you, but please do introduce yourself. It is a great opportunity for all of us to get to know each other. Also mention what you expect to learn from today's session. That will be really amazing. All right, so waiting for you guys to introduce yourselves in the chat. Please do tell me about yourself. What are you expecting to learn from today's session? Which city you are logging in from? Right, I see there's a question from Pracheta. So questions are not for as such for the introduction. Please introduce yourself in the chat. I'll just write quickly. Hi, over here. Please introduce yourself here in the chat. Okay, there are so many of you. Come on, quickly. This is it should be a joint effort. You contribute to the session to make it successful. Please do introduce yourselves in the chat. All right, I am going to also introduce a poll. Hi, Shalini. Hi, Pracheta. Shalini, please tell us more about yourself. What do you do? Pracheta is an in-house counsel for a US-based tech company. Amazing. That's fantastic. Anybody else? Come on, come on. So, few things I want to say is that, to get started, is that in-house counsel, was at a point of time, people thought that in-house counsels are kind of second fiddle to litigating lawyers and law firms. Outside lawyers are the real experts, and the people who are in the in-house team are not really that important, and they are basically acting as mere conduit between outside lawyers and the business. And that was something that was the idea, and people thought that you go to in-house counsel teams when okay, and that was not really a very that's not correct. That was, for a while it was like that, but there has been a massive change in the role of the in-house counsel in companies. They became very, very important, critical part of the company, very important advisors to the management, and their role became more defined and more important sometimes than even outside lawyers. There are many teams today who do the bulk of their work in-house, outsource only very specific things. But even beyond that, we have seen other trends. Like, for example, in-house counsels have been at the forefront of adopting technology, for instance, right? So for a long time, we have seen that the legal profession is more or less resistant to adopting new technology oftentimes. But that is not the case with in-house legal teams. They have been very much at the forefront of adopting new technology, and it has been very inspiring. They have supported legal startups. They are thinking ahead as to what may happen in the future and already preparing for it. So there may be a couple of reasons for it. One reason that one can think of is that in-house counsel teams are not just a legal team, right? In-house counsel teams are also part of a larger company, and digital transformation and quest for efficiency has been there very much in the companies, and they have done it in their other departments, in their sales, product, marketing, in all departments, there have been digital transformation, software, and there have been a constant evolution of an introduction of technology and better processes and so on. So naturally, legal team also being one of the teams in the same environment, they benefit from that mindset, from that drive to make things better, make things more efficient, reduce costs, gain competitive advantage as opposed to other competitors, right? So to give you an example, if you are a bank, then you might want to, for example, reduce your legal costs. So for example, you have a certain cost to enforce your agreements, your loan agreements, there's a certain cost. Can you introduce technology which reduces such costs? Maybe you can move to an online dispute resolution mode. Then you can save a lot of money that is being spent in enforcing these loan agreements and recovering money and so on. Can you create a system that your recovery officers across India, they might be posted in different districts all over the country, can they get very high quality advice very quickly? Can you create some kind of a mechanism that they do not have to wait much long to get an answer, right? To get some kind of, let's say they need a feedback on a certain situation, or they want to consult the legal team. Now the legal team has limited resources, but can they improve their turnaround time? Can they make it easier? So maybe it can be done through some kind of a chat bot, which is driven by artificial intelligence. And let's say very often the same questions are asked again and again, right? So if you're a lawyer, you know that similar kind of clients will come and ask the exact same question. So can that be somehow automated so that people can get a first level of answer quickly enough, and only for further information? So, okay, to give you an example, let's say there is a situation that, okay, we have got these documents from the clients who's asking for a loan and is ready to give a property, say some farmland, is ready to give as a security for the loan. Okay, now are the documents good? Should we accept this security? Should we proceed? Now, if at this stage the recovery office, the loan officer in that case, so much, right? He needs some quick legal input. So one option is to hire a lawyer, spend money on that at the local level, or send all these documents to the central office where there are lawyers, okay? And they take a look and tell. But imagine that every day a loan officer may be looking at 10 such files or 20 such files. And across the country, there may be thousands of loan officers. There are not thousands of lawyers sitting there in the legal office. So things can pile up, right? So how do we make this, if there's an automated process that those documents are scanned and uploaded, and based on some rules and some screening process that can be built into the software, some feedback, initial approval can be given, for example, or some quick, even some quick elimination will be very helpful. That, oh, in this state there is a legislation which says that farmland cannot be used to recover money. So a bank cannot take over farmland or sell it under, let's say, some of the money recovery laws that are there. You cannot take a farmland and sell it away. There is a provision, state provision. Then that's it. You cannot actually accept this property as a valid security for the loan that you're giving. In that case, you can right away decide that no, this is not a viable loan that we can give. So it will save the time. So the loan officer then can go and chase the even better options. So there is a great incentive that in-house teams started seeing, not only in banks, everywhere else as well. So let's say same thing can happen, that let's say you're a technology company and you are selling technology, say you are selling server space or technological solutions, software across the country. Now you have a lawyer, sure, but as the organization grows, there may be a need to sign many contracts every day. Many proposals may be coming in. Can you quickly give feedback on these things? Can you, instead of having to sit down and go through each and every contract, can there be some automation systems? Can there be some contract management software which will make enforcement of those contracts easier, monitoring of the contract performance easier? Okay, so very important things can be done. Automation through of contracts is one area that can be done. So I just wanted to give you an initial example, and we have seen that in-house departments have been aggressively investing in this kind of technology and trying to bring things online, and they have embraced digital transformation, right? So this is one thing I remember actually moderating a session at Business World last year, where there was a discussion around this, and it is true that compared to a lawyer's chamber or even the say a big law firm, a lot more technology is being today used by these in-house counsel departments, and that is creating incentive for the rest of the, I would say, fraternity, the legal industry, to catch up with the in-house counsels, because in-house counsels are the biggest clients in the market. So if they are doing so much in terms of adopting technology and becoming so efficient, then the law firms and the other lawyers also have to catch up, have to think about it, right? So this is a very interesting situation. I see there are some comments and questions, and that's very good. I would love to, please be interactive and keep asking questions, and it would be very good that way, that it will be a two-way communication instead of being a one-way communication. Okay, so over time, the in-house counsel jobs themselves have become a lot more attractive because of these kind of opportunities. You actually get to work with technology. You get to work with, a lot of high-tech, processes. You are getting to play around with processes and not just merely do just drafting, litigation, which many people want to do, but there are people who want to go beyond that and actually start working on processes, management, and working on things from a systems perspective. And in-house counsel jobs are giving that opportunity. And also, in a way, you are leading the entire legal industry into the future with the work that you are doing, right? So okay, so with that, I would say this is the beginning. Before I proceed any further, I just want to ask you that, can you think of some areas where you have seen in-house counsels and in-house legal teams adopting technology, okay, and actually making a difference? And everybody talks about technology these days, but actually people using good technology and that making a big difference in their overall work and everything. So I can give you an example, compliance dashboards. Okay, this is a very powerful concept. In India, there is massive number of compliances. Okay, there are thousands of compliances. Let's say if you're running a factory, you have like thousands of compliances, right? Under company law, there are so many compliances. Now, keeping track of these compliances can be a huge challenge. On the other hand, if you miss out some compliances, then it gives a very bad signal. It can lead to serious fines. It can lead to raids by the authority. It can lead to some sort of, interruption in the work because of government interference, because you are non-compliant, right? Investors may take a very poor view of your company being non-compliant. So then what can be done for this, right? So you can actually create a dashboard, and many companies have done this, that they have gone ahead and created compliance dashboards for their entire company, so that they can actually see what compliances have been done and what compliances are still due and which compliances are overdue. And especially imagine that there is a company which has 40 different factories all over India, or hundreds of godowns across India, or some 10-15 running projects going on. In each project there are, say, 2,000 3,000 people working. So that alone, just the labor and employment law compliance can be a nightmare. And there are so many other compliances apart from that. So how do they keep track of each of these? So a compliance dashboard at every level, at a state level, at a factory level, at a office level, local office level, and then at a central level at the headquarters. All of these coming together, and you can see at a glance what is going on, and you can address whatever is stuck. Okay, such a powerful idea. And we are seeing more and more companies adopting this kind of dashboards. Okay, so that being that, I just want to know from you, have you seen in-house teams actually implementing something? Any example from you? I see there are 22 people right now in the session. Would love to know from you. If you haven't introduced yourself, just mention your name quickly. Tell us who you are, where you're logging in from, what do you do, and just give me some examples. I want a few examples from you guys. Yeah, so please, waiting for your responses. Come on, I really want to know from you guys. Rachita, our company is in the process of adopting Ariba tool so as to create a centralized communication system between business teams, procurement teams, and legal teams. Great. Communication is a major area that will be impacted over time. Anything else? To check the license entitlement of the software from the agreement is one of the compliance. Yeah, sure. That's a compliance, but technology, you see things changing in a big way. Makes things easier. We can check where delay is occurring. Yes. Practicing independently in Mumbai, Gitika. Hi, Gitika. Can we check from Espera service now? Kumar Adarsh. My name is Kumar Adarsh. Domicile. Okay. All right. So I'm not getting much responses from you guys. A couple of responses. Thank you very much for that. But others, I would really appreciate if you open up and start participating. If you are not an in-house counsel, no problem. I haven't seen anything. Can you think of an area where there should be technology implemented and will make a big difference? First of all, let me start by saying I see there are a lot of law students. 52% of the attendees are actually law students. 12% litigators, 4% law firm lawyers, 12% in-house counsels, and others are 20%. I don't know who are the others, but yeah, you can maybe explain who you are when you say you are others, none of these categories, what do you do? Please tell us in the chat. All right, so coming back, it's very, very important that we understand what kind of work a legal in-house team does, right? So I would broadly divide the work that is there. Is number one is advisory. They advise the entire business. They guide on legal issues to all the other teams, senior management, everyone. So there's the advisory work. Then you have the work which is related to contracts. right? So contracts is a major area of work for in-house teams. There are so many contracts that are signed, contracts have to be monitored, and that is a major area of work, right? Contract drafting, negotiation, management. Then you have work related to corporate finance. So there's money has to come into the company. So it can come from investment, it can come from bank loans, right? So that is another area of work that most companies, no matter what kind of company, some corporate finance related work will be there. Then you have work related to compliances. So there are so many laws, you have to comply to various laws, and that is an inevitable area of work that you will be having in an in-house legal team. Then you also have the work of monitoring. So what you monitor? So for example, you have assets. You may have real estate, you may have IP, patents, trademarks, and you have to monitor those assets, and you have to make sure that they are in good shape. Nobody is encroaching your rights or infringing on your rights, not encroaching on your property. Your asset value is maintained, and there is no legal threat or any kind of something is not impacting those assets, right? So that is another area that in-house counsels have to do, in-house teams have to do. Patent war between Samsung and Apple, sure, you can say so. So that's another area of work. Then you have the disputes, of course. That is another major area of work. So if there's a company, there are probably going to be so many disputes, right? So it could be with an employee, it could be with a service provider or vendor. There may be a contract which is breached and you have to claim damages. Maybe there is some other kind of disputes, could be with a regulator, right? With a TRAI or with taxes, tax authorities, with some government authority also, you might end up having a dispute of some sort. So disputes. So these are the general areas that are there. So one major, apart from these, the other major aspect is management of all this work, right? So legal team is a team and they have all this work and they have to keep track of everything. They have to make sure everything is happening efficiently. So the other work that a senior in-house counsel would have, maybe the general counsel or people under him, legal head and so on, their job will be to ensure that smooth management of all this is happening, right? So management is a very, so let's start from this. We'll explore all of these themes and understand what the future looks like for each of these functions. So one thing is certainly is management, right? Now management, it is a very, there's one truism in management, one very important principle, that whatever gets measured gets managed, okay? So if something is getting measured, then it will get managed. So it's very important that we are measuring things in terms of the functioning of a in-house legal team. So what are some of the things that needs to be measured? So for example, is our, how much do we spend on different disputes, or how much time is being spent? Are our lawyers productive? If there are highly performing lawyers, how are they spending their time? So what can we expect from our other lawyers to if they have to improve, right? Are we paying any fines? Then what are the areas in which we are paying fines, right? Are there any government policies that have been changing, etc.? Then we have to measuring the impact of policies, or it could be even measuring, okay, how many consumer cases are being filed across the country, or is there a particular part of the country where more consumer cases are being filed against us, right? So there are so many aspects to this, and you have to measure things. And measuring becomes possible when you have software, when things are logged. So one of the things that have really been popular, has become popular over time in in-house legal teams, is a monthly information system, right? It's called an MIS. So now most of the in-house legal teams have to come up with a monthly information system where they are logging, okay, what is actually going on in different areas of work that they're doing, how many contracts are being signed, how many are being executed, how many are being monitored, how many have been breached, exactly what is going on with the various disputes. how many hearings have happened, how many are still in our favor, how many things are going against us, can we expect any kind of adverse order from some of the what is going on in those cases, can we preparing the company for that, are we expecting some kind of big fines or big penalties or big damages being awarded against us or in favor of us. So those things have to be tracked and reported to the senior management. So you have a MIS, and over time, these things will be more seamless because we'll rely more on softwares rather than human reporting. So people would be working on softwares itself. So if they're drafting a reply to a consumer complaint, they'll be doing it in a software. They'll not be sitting and on drafting it on Microsoft Word or Google Documents. There will be systems where these things are automated and measuring everything, and that would be finally they'll generate automated MIS report. So this is a very important thing that we will see. Okay, so that aspect of management, the measurement aspect, will become more and more important going forward. Another aspect that I can think of to be, now we are moving from management and we'll talk about, let's say, compliances, right? So compliances, definitely, we have talked about dashboard already. So you have a sense of it, but a lot of compliances today get missed out because they are, dependent on physical work in different locations, right? So there would be systems that would be tracking these compliances real time, and because more and more compliances are becoming online, it does not involve doing things physically most of the time. There are some things that will never change, that will remain physical. So for example, are you providing a first aid box in your office? If this is a compliance, you have to provide a physical first aid box. The compliance will not happen online. But if there is a requirement for a report that has these things been done, or how many accidents have happened in the premises of the company in the last, or inside a factory in the last so many years and so on. So if those are the questions, then definitely we know that it can be reported. Now reporting it online is much easier, and whenever it happens, there is a digital footprint of the same, and we can track these things very well inside our software, right? So we will definitely see those things happen. Very interestingly, we already have, during the lockdown, one kind of software has become very popular. It wasn't there so much before, but now we have employee surveillance software. So what are employee surveillance software? So basically, these softwares now being implemented by companies, they are tracking your work on your computer, right? So whether you are actually working or you're spending time on Facebook or Twitter will get logged into the company's software. They're actually tracking. So let's say you had certain work to do and we are getting used to this kind of software over time. More and more companies are using, and they have been accepted by people because there is no choice. People are working from home. Monitoring has become next to impossible. How do you know if people are working or they're doing something else? So these softwares would make another thing very much possible. So imagine that you're doing a certain compliance. The software will track it and report it back saying that yes, this work got done. And it would all be automated through artificial intelligence, AI-driven employee surveillance softwares are going to make those things really easy reporting. So when it comes to compliances will not only be done by human. A lot of compliances itself will get automated, that they will get generated by the computer and you just have to go and submit it in the right portal. But even that will get checked by various software, and it would become easier. Like missing out on compliances has been a big issue in the past, but over time it is becoming easier because technology is making sure we get ample reminders, and whenever compliances are being missed out of any kind, it is getting highlighted to the team, to your superiors, getting escalated. So in that way, compliance related challenges have reduced a lot and will continue to reduce. We haven't seen the full impact of the technology yet, but over the year, you can expect in the next couple of years that will completely change. Next area we can take is contracts. Okay, so in contracts also we will see a massive change in terms of what technology is making possible. So there are some companies, like very large global multinational companies, they have made it such that certain contracts below a certain value. Let's say a contract which is below $1,000 or $500. Okay, such a contract will not get vetted by the legal team. It will be auto-generated from a form. Okay, so they have created this. They have the software. Any employee who needs this, they have this software generation, contract generation software. They go there, they fill up a form, and contracts get generated. So there is a service provider, one of the Indian companies, the leading service provider across the world for this kind of software, and their software is being used by all global giants. And she came and made a presentation in one of our programs where, and at Mumbai National Law University, she actually showed it in a Lawsikho workshop that was happening in 7 days. She demonstrated that, look, this is what it looks like. Okay, it was a very powerful moment. Everybody saw that, wow, like a very good quality contract is being generated without the involvement of a lawyer. And they have the freedom, if they think that, no, there is something wrong with this contract, they can always take it to a lawyer and escalate the matter. But that is rarely done, and that is not encouraged at all, because for this kind of a low value contract, the in-house legal team does not want to spend much time. So you can see that certain work that used to be done by lawyers before, and they spent a lot of time doing such work, is getting automated, right? So it's a very powerful situation, a very powerful idea in a very different situation. Now, other part where we have already seen a lot of work being done is contract management. So let's say there's a contract in which there are certain terms, right? That, okay, every 6 months, the other side will submit a report to us, okay? And let's say they did not submit the report. Now, who's sitting and checking and monitoring whether because if there is one contract, you may be able to remember. But if there are 2,000 contracts, are you going to be able to remember that there was a report that was supposed to be submitted, but it was not submitted? So people need software for this also, because humanly not possible to. There was a time when people used to do it and you had to hire a lot of people to do it. They are the contract management personnel. But now you have software doing this, and the job of the software is to track all of these kind of compliances with the terms of the contract. And the moment there is some non-compliance, it will raise a red flag and report the issue, and then people can take action accordingly. So again, so contract management is a major area where we are seeing a lot of good software have come up, and they are also doing really good. The other kind of issue is that sometimes we need reports on our contracts, due diligence, contract summarization. So imagine you have 5,000 contracts, and each of those contracts got negotiated to some extent. So some contracts have some clauses, other contracts do not have that clause. Then how are you going to negotiate that, right? It is a huge issue facing with people, and people, companies had this huge issue, right? Now, what's happening now is that you have language-based AI softwares, right? They can analyze the language of a contract and create a summary of it. They can create even they can create an Excel sheet out of 2,000 contracts and tell you that, look, these are the contracts you have, and these are the 5 different types of confidentiality clause variation that you have. And in this bunch of agreements, the confidentiality agreement, confidentiality is only on us and not on the other party. And then there are this bunch of agreements where the confidentiality clause has this kind of a language. Basically, it can classify all these contracts, and that makes, again, I said that whatever gets measured gets managed. So when you have this kind of measurement of your different contracts, making policy decisions at the top level becomes much easier. So that is another thing that is happening right now. Contract summarization and reporting tools, powerful analytical and reporting tools are coming up. In fact, you can decide how to negotiate your contract in the future based on analytics. That okay, we have signed we have signed 5,000 contracts in the past 10 years. But in these 5,000 contracts, which are the contracts that got violated? What are the contracts on which we suffered the most losses? Can we now study those contracts and come up with a strategy as to how we are going, what we are going to do or not do in the future? This was impossible in the past, but because of artificial intelligence and the kind of technology that has become available, now we can even do this, right? So that's one area. Then the area that I want to take is advisory. What is changing in advisory? What is going to be the future? I strongly believe that there would be chatbot and that kind of immediate response clients, because what is the requirement of most people today in the business is that I want an immediate response. Okay, it may not be 100% correct, but at least give me something to start understanding what is going on. So let's say somebody comes and tells me, my junior comes and tells me that I think my so-and-so colleague has sexually harassed me. Okay. Now I am not an expert. I may not understand everything, but if I have some questions that, okay, is this particular situation sexual harassment? Can I quickly get a response? So it is possible that normally I would want to call the company's lawyer and ask him that, this is a situation, what should I do? And the company lawyer of the company will tell me something. But it becomes very resource intensive for the company to have so many lawyers. What if that lawyer is busy, is in a meeting, and there are what if he is in a business trip somewhere, negotiating or handling a very urgent, some matter, okay, in the court, and he is not able to pick his phone. These things happen in reality. Now, how many lawyers is the company going to hire? So, of course, it hires many lawyers as much as required, but the company also is interested in reducing this burden that people each time have to answer the same question. So, one solution is that there can be these databases of these frequently asked questions, which can then artificial intelligence can pull out answers from the database and give it as an answer on the chatbot client, okay, or artificial intelligence driven. And the artificial intelligence can also work with other databases. There will be database service providers who will provide these kind of services that you can pull that information and give it to somebody so that they can quickly answer those questions. It's a very powerful method of giving at least initial advice, initial feedback, initial guidelines to your employees. So, for example, insider trading. So somebody thinks that there has an insider trading event, but that person doesn't have illegal training. Can they actually approach a chatbot and quickly get an answer in the next 5 minutes? That what they should be doing to damage control or whatever. And these kind of quick fire solutions can make a big difference, especially for teams like sales team and marketing team. It can really make life easier. For example, if I'm thinking of running a certain advertisement and I want to make sure that the copy is legally sound, can I do that using a software quickly? Yes, it is possible, right? People are coming up with such solutions. So this is definitely an area in which we will see a lot of work and a lot of changes. Finally, that brings me to monitoring. Monitoring is definitely an area where we'll see a full-scale automation, that there would be software which will be crawling the internet, which will be tracking competitors and try to identify if there is any kind of infringing activity happening. And there would be certain signals that will be defined, which will alert human in-house counsels and investigators to look into those matters when there are those red flags or alarms are raised by the automated system. Okay, so overall, to bring it together, I think we will see a massive reliance on technology, and most importantly, the relationship of the in-house counsel and the outside counsel. In-house counsels will start demanding more technology collaboration, and law firms should be having softwares and systems which easily talks to this kind of high technology that in-house legal teams will be using. So that will also change. And definitely, in-house teams will be using technology to manage their outside counsels. They might put such outside counsels on a certain portal, start monitoring their performance, showing them their own dashboards that this has been your performance in our cases over time. This is the billing you have generated over time from us. This is the service you have provided. This is the result you have provided. And here are other lawyers compared to you. This is what they have charged, and this is what they have performed. Let's say you have your average response time to a question or a follow-up request sent to you is 6 hours, but average is 4 hours for all other lawyers. So you are lagging behind. So you can pull up your socks. Literally, we'll be seeing this level of technology used to manage outside lawyers by in-house counsels. So you may like it, you may not like it, you may get alarmed that, oh my God, what is going to happen? But surely and definitely, surely and steadily, this kind of technology is going to take over the legal industry, and it is inevitable. Okay. So I think the future of the in-house legal team would see a significantly more shift of power to the in-house legal team, because they'll be using more technology and they'll be more on the front foot, so to speak, whenever it comes to these changes that are coming. On the other hand, you will have lawyers kind of responding and reacting rather than proactively working on this. Of course, there'll be exceptions, but a lot of lawyers and law firms are on the back foot and will continue to be reactive over time and will do what is necessary to keep the business rather than proactively doing this. And certainly one area of challenge will be with litigators, with how much they in the past. Of course, with the new generation of litigators also coming into practice, things may be different now. But yeah, I mean, I would say I would like to predict that there would be a massive amount of advantage that law firms and litigators will get out of adopting this kind of technology, being able to understand the technological changes that are happening and building their own systems, starting to work on their own digital transformation of the practices along those lines would make a huge difference. Okay. So I hope, there is about 10-12 minutes left of this discussion. So let's take some questions, and we'd love to answer any questions you might have and receive your feedback. There are a few questions. Let's take them quickly. Somebody has named themselves Lawsikho. Please use your own name, that'll be better. In-house can practice litigation in court as an individual lawyer. Can they have practice license? Okay. So in-house, if you're practicing in-house, you're not supposed to be litigating in court. You're not supposed to be, holding your sanad. You're supposed to surrender your license. But there are ways that some lawyers manage to get around this. What they do is that, okay, I am on a retainer. So instead of being on the as an employee in a company, you take up the same job as a retainer, and maybe you have this huge retainer, maybe 90% or whatever work, or maybe 100% of your work is with only one company, but you're a retainer, so you can retain your license to practice in the court. Shalini Jain is asking, what should be the first step to get into this field? Say I want to work for IPR, what should be my first step? In-house counsels, there can be specialized in-house counsels, such as in IPR, but generally most in-house counsel are generalists, and it is easier to get a job as an in-house counsel as a generalist, especially when you are early in your career. So the idea would be to understand a very good general grasp of business law. You have to learn compliances, you have to learn contract drafting, you have to learn some of the dispute work also, but at least two of these things, if not all. If you are good at that, then it's easier to get work. Also, you can specialize. You can even think that there are certain industries in which there is more work for in-house counsels, a lot of demand. For example, technology companies, media companies, real estate companies. So you can identify, okay, this is an area in which I want to work because there's a lot of work. So you can then specialize in the kind of work that technology companies need you to do if you're in-house counsel, or media companies need you to do if you're an in-house counsel, healthcare companies or pharmacy companies need you to do if you're an in-house counsel. So you can focus on that sector and develop sector-specific knowledge and expertise. There's a question from an anonymous question. Will the softwares and AI have 100% accuracy? What happens when AI fails? Will everything depend on AI in the future? So the whole idea about AI is that, there are human errors. Human beings make error. AI does not make a mistake. Whatever formula you have taught it, it will continue to do the same. There's no question of AI making mistakes unless, see, if somebody has developed the software wrongly, there is a mistake in the software in the first place. The software is not able to do what it is advertised. It has been advertised to do, or what is meant to do. Then that's a different thing. But if it is a functioning software, there will be 100% accuracy. So if it has to be tried and tested, well, once it delivers, it will have 100% accuracy. If it does not have 100% accuracy, the creator of the software will define that it has 98% accuracy, and it will have 98%. So it is like that. It's a very determinable, very clear situation with artificial intelligence. What if it fails? It doesn't fail like that. Like, it's not a machine that it breaks down or something. If it does break down, there may be bugs or there may be things you can find out. Like, when you're using software, sometimes there are bugs in Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere, Twitter, there may be bugs, server issues. Those things happen. So what will happen? You fix it, you make the system better. There was a time when all this, so many, Google has improved so much over time. Facebook has improved so much over time. So whenever there are problems, there are failures, there are bugs, then the owners of the software or the creator or some other company will work and make a better version of it, and then everybody will use it. That's what's going to happen. Do you think, and yeah, a lot of, you can't say all of it will depend on AI, but a lot of things will depend on AI. And people who will be using AI tools will be winning, right? Imagine a lawyer with a laptop, internet connection, and a lawyer who doesn't have internet connection and a computer. It's so hard. The guy may be very smart, brilliant, but you will find it hard to win against a guy with a laptop and internet simply because of the access to information, the access to knowledge, the access to efficiency that the lawyer with a computer has or an internet connection has. So it's the same thing with AI. So if you don't learn how to use AI software, what's going to happen? You have to prepare yourself. Otherwise, it will be hard. Okay. Pracheta is asking, do you think we can completely codify legal language into a specific fixed algorithm? Yes, a lot of it can be done. There are a lot of people who are working on it. In Stanford University, there's a project. In Singapore, there's a project, and people have had a lot of success. So a lot of contracts are smart contracts going forward, self-executing smart contracts. Okay, so on blockchain and stuff like that. So there would be many things which can be codified. To give you a simple example, let's say you have a landlord and the landlord is holding to some to your security deposit, right? Now, how can we create a codified software, like basically a code-based contract? So the terms are what? That if I leave my house without making any damages, you will give my whole security deposit back. But if there are any damages at the time of me leaving the house, and then that money will be deducted. Now, let's say there is a damage. Let's say I have burnt a table by mistake. Something happened, there's a fire, a table got burnt. Okay. Now, at the time of leaving, I have to return the money. Now, I had paid 1 lakh deposit, and I think the cost of the table and the damage cost only 10,000, and landlord is saying no, it's 50,000, so I'll return only 50,000. Okay. Now, if it is a smart contract, then that will have a provision that in such a situation we'll be able to refer the matter to an arbitrator, who then will decide what to do. Right, and all of this will happen automatically in a time bound manner. So the moment I claim 10,000 only, landlord says no, 50,000, there's a dispute, we are given a window of 48 hours to come to a conclusion. Did not happen, referred to arbitrator automatically. Arbitrator looks at everything, makes a decision, looks at photographs, takes a call on this, and award is given within 48 hours. Very quick, it can happen. Like it's a game changer for everything. Right? It won't take currently there's a lot of loss of efficiency, loss of money, loss of business, loss of capital because of the time it takes to settle a dispute. But when you have these kind of contracts with such fast uh, resolution of disputes, very many automatic things like an escrow agreement. Why should an escrow agreement? There's a person sitting in the middle, third person. Okay, shares are being given to him, money is being given to him. When all the conditions are fulfilled, he will pass on the shares and pass on the money to the escrow agreement. Right now, this can be a software. People have created even entire funds, venture capital fund, based on an fully automated system, right? So I had done another webinar how blockchain technology can be implemented in the legal industry. There we talked about decentralized automated organization. So an entire company or entire fund or entire trust which operates only on code, there is no human intervention. There is no human involved in it. It all happens automatically, right? So it has a fund and it looks for certain companies, certain features, and it automatically invests money in that company without asking anybody, without any human intervention. Same thing can be done for mutual funds, index funds. So whenever certain criteria gets matched, the money gets invested into that fund, into that stock, right? And then sold when certain criteria gets matched, and no human intervention. Index funds are operating in this way today, right? It reduces the chance of human error. So yeah, you can codify legal language into software and algorithm. Absolutely, it is being done. Entire organization can be automated organization can be created, not only contracts. Okay, so I hope I have answered a few questions. Couple of minutes left. There's a question on who is Lawsikho. Can you tell me your name or rename yourself? There's a question: proofreading, counterfeiting to put check on plagiarism. AI is to be used. Okay, sure. Manupatra like database using AI and searching toolbar. So I feel it can be only used in preliminary indexing, searching and machine database queries. No, it need not be only for that. It can be for much more. It is being done for much more also. But yeah, these are some initial applications. Can CS, an in-house legal counsel, act in one capacity like can negotiate contracts and simultaneously signing authority? I didn't understand this question, so sorry. You need to elaborate on that. Lawsikho to query all the precedent and historical cases. There is technology, but in decision making based on case laws, to put arguments only a lawyer must be need. Yeah, so for now only a lawyer. See, the over time, higher and higher functions of or higher order functions will get automated over time, right? Right now, everything cannot be done by AI. I'm not saying everything can be done by AI. There would be a role of a lawyer. I never said that AI will do everything. Some things can be done by AI, but that advantage must be taken. After that, there are things that you will have to do um, on your own, right? On your like a human being is also involved in that. So definitely, there's no question that human beings will have still value, and at least in our lifetime, foreseeable future, there will be. So before you go, I have a request. So I would love to stay connected with all of you, and the way to stay connected with me is to connect with me on Twitter. And I hope all of you are on Twitter. It's a very powerful platform, and definitely Twitter is the future in terms of, and there's a huge legal community on Twitter. You can interact with them, you can learn from them. Okay, so definitely follow me on Twitter. What will happen is that I'll follow you back. Anybody who follows me between in the next 10 minutes, I'll follow all of them back. So then you will be able to send me direct messages. So if you have ever any questions, anything you want to know, you have any feedback to share about this session, you can share over there in my direct message. I have also one request that I do these sessions every weekday from 9 to 10 p.m. I would humbly request you that please write about this and share information about this with your with your colleagues so that they can also join. And definitely, if you got any insight from today's discussion, then I humbly request you please write about it on your Twitter or on your LinkedIn, and share and mention Lawsikho. You can tag me also. You can tag Lawsikho. It will be very, very helpful for me, and I would feel that all my efforts towards this is being well served. And then I will request, I will be able to put in more work for this, and will be very happy. Okay, and definitely follow me on Twitter. So I look forward to connect with all of you on Twitter, and stay connected. And see you again on Monday, same time, 9 to 10 p.m. There's a very interesting session, 9 to 10 p.m. next Monday on animal rights and animal cruelty and animal laws in India. All right. So looking forward to meet all of you. Take care.